A pedestrian has significant injuries tonight after being hit by an out-of-control pickup truck that ended up in a backyard pool. Good evening. The victim is now in hospital after the dramatic afternoon crash.
The scene is at Rosslyn Road East and Fence Road Drive, just east of Thixon Road in Whitby. CTV's Beth McDonnell is there live tonight with the latest. Beth.
Michelle, it's a terrible scene here in Whitby. Crews are still removing debris from the crash. The intersection near where it happened remains closed, and the pickup truck that crashed is still in the pool. Karen and Greg Feddick's Thanksgiving weekend is off to a shocking start. Karen was at home on the second floor when a pickup truck crashed into the backyard pool.
I heard what I thought was an explosion, and I looked out the window, which backs onto my backyard, and there was a white half-ton truck in my pool with the gentleman. I wasn't sure if he was okay or not. While
Greg was in the garage heading out.
And then I drove around the corner, saw that there was a police car with somebody on the ground, thought there was an accident, and just I had to go somewhere for about an hour, and then I came back and I find there's a truck in my pool. So a little odd. I heard the explosion kind of sound, but I didn't think anything of it.
Durham Regional Police say around 12:50 this afternoon, the pickup went off the road, striking a pedestrian before going through the FedEx fence and into the pool. The crash happened on Rosslyn Road East near Fence Road Drive in Whitby.
We're still trying to ascertain exactly what happened. We're investigating, whether it was a case of a medical incident or something crossed the road and, they left the roadway to avoid that and avoid a collision on the roadway.
Officers say the pedestrian was rushed to hospital with serious, life-threatening injuries, while Karen says paramedics came to rescue the man from the truck. The couple now thankful the crash wasn't even worse.
We had just closed our pool, but we could have been in the pool if this was summer. So that's concerning to me.
It's a good thing it wasn't in the summertime where we got grandkids. It could have been in the pool. So stuff like that kind of makes you worried a little bit.
Police say the pedestrian was sent to a Toronto area trauma hospital, while injuries to the pickup driver were unknown. Crews will be working to remove the pickup truck from the pool that hit pretty close to the back of the house of the FedEx. Some good news tonight. Police say that the pedestrian who was hit has been upgraded to stable condition, and the driver of the pickup truck has been cleared of his injuries. Several bell boxes were also damaged in this crash, and service is expected to be restored this evening. Reporting live in Whitby, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, Natalie, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. And our coverage of this developing story continues online at CTV News Toronto.
Thank you.
.ca. Thank you, Beth. The child has been rescued after falling down a ventilation shaft in Etobicoke this afternoon. Firefighters were called to a building at 516 the West Mall shortly after 3:30. They found the child stuck in a ventilation duct. Crews got to work dismantling that duct, allowing them to free the child who was crying, but fortunately did not suffer any injuries. It's unclear if the child is a boy or a girl, but is believed to be about 4 years old. Thanksgiving weekend is here, and a lot of people got a head start on the holiday today.
It was a PA day for many Toronto students, giving families an opportunity for an early escape from the city. CTV's John Musselman joins us live with the details. John.
Well, Natalie, thousands of people are heading out for the long weekend, and provincial highways will be busy. The OPP tell us they will be keeping an eye out for aggressive drivers. There was a steady flow of traffic heading north on the 400 today. Sunny skies, warmer than normal temperatures. It had many people smiling as they look forward to the Thanksgiving long weekend.
We really like the leaves up there. It's a good excuse to get everyone up, and we use it as a closing weekend too, so we bring everything in.
It's traditional. Get to spend time with the family, leaves. Yeah, it's just a nice getaway out of the city.
I think it's a good time to spend time with family. That's what we're all together. We're all busy with work during the week. So I think this is a good opportunity to stay together, have fun, spend time with your family, have a good dinner together.
People say they were heading up to close the cottage for the year or put the boat away. Some were driving to Algonquin Park to enjoy the fall colors.
Oh, we're spending Thanksgiving weekend. My sister is visiting from Singapore, And my mom has always wanted to see Algonquin Park, so we're actually going for a day trip.
We're looking at a full Thanksgiving turkey dinner and cranberry sauce, and we go to the Bala Marsh for hiking.
We're going to Gravenhurst, spending time with our family. Our children are meeting us there, our daughters, and doing a nice celebration, doing some hiking.
I'm spending it going with all my family. We're going to meet at my son's in Massey on River Road, and we're going to spend the weekend with them. There'll be about 14 of us.
If you are heading out on provincial highways this long weekend, the OPP is advising motorists it will be targeting aggressive and distracted drivers.
We want to make sure that they get there safely, so please slow down and pay attention to the task at hand, which is driving. Not responding to those texts, not talking on your phone, not doing your logbooks for the commercial vehicle drivers. Please pay attention to the driving, pay attention to the road, and slow down. Have some patience.
An OPP went on to tell us, though, they want to make sure people are wearing their seatbelts and leave space in front of the car in front of you. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. And if you're staying in town and taking the subway this weekend, there will be no service on Line 2 between Victoria Park and Kennedy stations. That area happens to be included in the TTC's updated map of reduced speed zones, which have been in place for the last few months. The transit agency says those stretches of subway track are in need of maintenance or upgrades, and trains run slower as a safety measure. And for the entire long weekend, including on Monday, there will also be no GO train service on the Barrie line north of Maple Station. Trains will run to and from there from Union with replacement buses, then running all the way to Barrie Transit Terminal. And if you're heading to Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest, GO Transit is running its special Leader Gozen line service tomorrow. Its billed as offering a warm Bavarian welcome with guides to and from the festivities. Tickets and details are listed at oktoberfest.ca.
Still to come on CTV News, a first look at the facelift of Scotiabank Arena, unveiled today ahead of the Leafs home opener this weekend.
Well, how's this for a few hours of family fun? That's the Corn Maze at Pingle's Farm Market. It's just east of Oshawa on Taunton Road. And it was a beautiful day to be outside today. Are they lost? You think they're finding their way? That's a big maze. Yes, so we had lots of sunshine, as you could see there, and this is a live look as we head into this Thanksgiving long weekend. A beautiful sunset, the sky looking a little bit pink, and we have dry conditions for any travel plans you might have, or if you're staying at home. Let's get to the specifics. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. We should also know it is so nice and warm.
It is, and if you're out in that maze and you're going to be there for a while, the forecast is actually pretty nice. So the good news is if you get stuck in that corn maze, you at least have nice weather. We're holding on to really clear sky thanks to high pressure, keeping us free of any active weather for now, but that will change as we head throughout the weekend. But we are kicking things off in a really beautiful way. Still a pretty breezy southwesterly wind carrying us through the end of our day today, but right now it's keeping us warm. We're kind of around 17, 18 around the Golden Horseshoe, a little warmer through Owen Sound and Windsor, but overall a fantastic end to our day. Through the islands over towards Pearson, we're still kind of hovering around 19 to 21, but it is a little breezy out there tonight, staying above seasonal, but the winds will change and that will impact our forecast. Coming up, I'll break it all down right now. Send things back over to Natalie and Michelle.
Okay, thank you, Jess. Well, there are new details today on how police helicopters will be used in Toronto.
5 tactical officers will be hired to be eyes in the sky. CTV's Mike Walker joins us now from the former Downsview Airport with more. Mike.
Well, Michelle, those tactical officers will work alongside pilots from the OPP. At this point, it's still not clear when Toronto will get its dedicated helicopter, but officials did provide a little bit more insight today on how they intend to use it.
I think I got him.
From catching suspects wanted for a spree of break-ins in York region,
The west of where you are, hopping fences.
to pursuing a stolen G-Wagon after an armed carjacking in Brampton.
They're coming right towards us.
Assisting officers on the ground locate and arrest the suspects. These are the results Toronto police are hoping its new helicopter will deliver.
Adds a dynamic new tool for the Toronto police to be able to respond to various circumstances that are often dangerous and very unpredictable.
It will be at least a year before a H-135 helicopter like this one currently used by the OPP will be based in Toronto. The extra set of eyes in the sky will be equipped with state-of-the-art technology, including thermal imaging.
I think about high-speed pursuits, dynamic gun calls, large crowd management, and missing vulnerable persons. These are just a few examples where having a helicopter will help us.
For years, the force has been relying on other police services like the OPP in York Region for occasional air support. Back in July, the province announced it will be spending $134 million to purchase 5 helicopters to combat crime across the GTA and Ottawa, part of a new joint air support unit.
We know the areas of Toronto are so densely populated. This helicopter will provide that amazing support to help the ground forces.
Toronto's helicopter will be owned and operated by the OPP. Funding from the province will allow Toronto Police to create 5 tactical flight officer positions. Those officers will operate the cameras and sensor technology.
It is their role to coordinate and take charge of ground operations and deploy units on the ground.
Exactly how Toronto's helicopter will be deployed is still being worked out between the two forces.
Right now, we operate on more of a reactive model. With Toronto, we'll incorporate a proactive model in there.
But say deployment will be intelligence-led.
What we've done is we've gone to our analytics and innovation unit and consolidated a number of high-priority calls, including missing persons, home invasions, carjackings, things like that, gun crime. We've consolidated those into a map of hotspots, so the aircraft will always be flying in areas that those particular occurrences are pronounced.
A dynamic tool police say will allow officers to respond faster and more effectively. Now, in terms of a timeline, the chief did say today anticipates Toronto will get its dedicated helicopter sometime over the next 12 to 18 months. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Natalie, back to you.
A child is in hospital after being hit by a vehicle in Midtown. The CTV News chopper was above the scene at Eglinton and Glen Cedar Road. The collision happened just after 11 this morning. Paramedics say the child was taken to a trauma center with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. No word yet on what led to the crash.
Hamilton police are investigating a shooting last night in a residential neighborhood in Stony Creek that was caught on camera. This footage is from around 9:30 p.m. in the area of Showcase Drive. Shots could be heard before a silver SUV speeds away. No injuries were reported. Hamilton police say they believe this shooting was targeted, but the motive is under investigation. They're asking residents in the area to see if their cameras spotted the silver SUV. In Durham Region, police are investigating a shooting this morning in Pickering. A woman reported she was involved in a series of run-ins with a suspect, which started at Toy Avenue and Bailey Street. She said the driver of this black Jaguar SUV chased her and then threw a coffee at her car before allegedly driving towards her and later opening fire, shattering the driver's side window. Investigators are asking anyone with information to get in touch or call Crime Stoppers.
A family of 6 says they have lost all of their personal belongings after their house was destroyed in an explosion overnight in Oro-Medonte, just north of Barrie. These images were shared by fire officials who responded to a house fire on Line 3 around 12:30 a.m., where an explosion had leveled the property. 10 trucks and 30 firefighters helped battle the flames, a job that took several hours. No injuries were reported.
We're doing as well as it can be expected. We're still at a lot of shock. Thank goodness we were not here at the time of the fire.
The Office of the Fire Marshal has sent investigators to the scene, but so far officials say the cause of the explosion does not appear suspicious.
We're following some major news out of the business world this evening. U.S. plane maker Boeing has announced it will be cutting 17,000 jobs, or 10% of its global workforce. This comes as it reports substantial new losses in its defense business. A month-long strike has been hitting the company's finances hard, and Boeing's CEO said the company had to reset its workforce levels to align with new realities. Now to some positive jobs news. There was notable growth in Canada's job market last month. Statistics Canada says the economy added 47,000 jobs in September, 43,000 of them in Ontario, and the unemployment rate declined for the first time since January, down to 6.5%. The agency says youth and women aged 25 to 54 drove employment gains last month, while full-time employment saw its largest gain since May of 2022. The overall job gains followed 4 consecutive months of little change as economists watch for the impact of interest rate cuts.
The legislation to enact the first phase of pharmacare passed in the Senate late last night.
And now the pressure is on the government to get deals in place with the provinces ahead of the next federal election. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
Legislation outlining the first phase of a national drug coverage plan passed Parliament on Thursday. The bill becoming law paves the way for the federal government to negotiate deals with premiers to provide diabetes and contraceptive medications.
This is real progress, but now we need the provinces and territories to come to the table and sign agreements with us.
The Liberals are aiming to have agreements in place across Canada allowing public health coverage for drugs such as insulin and morning-after pills by the spring. So far, BC is on board, but Quebec and Alberta have already said they want to opt out.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
The bill also sets the foundation for a broader universal pharmacare plan, with an expert panel being struck to make recommendations to the minister within a year. After voting against the legislation, Pierre Poilievre today reaffirmed that a Conservative government would not move forward with what he thinks is a bad plan.
We're not going to have a single-payer system that bans you and union workers and countless other people from keeping the excellent private plans they already have.
The Liberals have earmarked $1.5 billion for the first phase of pharmacare. The Parliamentary Budget Officer estimates a full program would cost billions more. Advocates are celebrating the bill's passage as a hard-fought win for Canadians who split pills or skip doses because of the cost, and are calling on the government to move quickly.
This pharmacare that we've achieved is something that could be so amazing, but it's very fragile.
During the Senate study, stakeholders, including those who represent employee benefit plans, say there's room for improvement before the program expands to cover more drugs.
We absolutely agree. Let's get help to those that do not have coverage, but there's smarter ways to go about this.
The pharmacare bill was a central piece of the Liberal NDP Supply and Confidence Agreement. Today, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said he'll be pressing the Prime Minister to get deals done, but wouldn't commit to helping keep the Liberals in power until that happens. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
A long, difficult recovery is underway in Florida following this week's hurricane that killed at least 16 people. Milton caused widespread flooding, devastation, and knocked out power to millions of people. Crews and residents are clearing mountains of debris left by the storm and Hurricane Helene late last month. Search efforts continue as well. Nearly 1,200 people have been rescued since Milton made landfall on Wednesday evening. It is a huge task, but the Florida National Guard says the state has sufficient forces to assist with the storm response. More than 6,000 troops have been deployed with help from 19 other states.
They will continue working on humanitarian assistance and removing debris as residents begin to rebuild their lives after Hurricane Milton. CTV's Joy Malbon reports.
Across Florida, the devastation and heartbreak in clear view. Neighborhoods and homes ripped apart by Hurricane Milton. In Sarasota, washed-up boats line the streets. The storm dumped so much water, a 1-in-1,000-year rain event, that the governor's warning residents not to let their guard down.
We have had fatalities because of interaction with downed power lines and water. We are seeing hazards that are still there. So please exercise caution.
And the search for survivors has not stopped. More than 500 people rescued from this flooded apartment complex in Clearwater. And the Coast Guard picked up this fisherman floating in the ocean, clinging to a cooler. The outbreak of tornadoes spawned by the storm turned out to be the most destructive, flattening areas and making some communities uninhabitable.
Places that I saw looked like it was an atomic bomb blew it up.
And for those returning home, or what's left of it, picking up the pieces won't be easy.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I know it's material things, but I gotta start all over again, you know? Everything I had there is no good.
And if that wasn't enough, President Joe Biden battling a storm of disinformation spread by Donald Trump that federal aid is being denied.
Those who have been spreading these lies to try to undermine the opposition are going to pay a price for it.
The president is urging Congress to return to approve more money for FEMA as disaster funds run low after back-to-back billion-dollar disasters. Joy Malbon, CTV News, Washington.
Premier Doug Ford today praised the efforts of Hydro One workers who have been helping restore power to communities hit hard by hurricanes.
That's what you do when your neighbors are in trouble. We're down there, and they do the exact same thing for us. So hopefully we'll be able to straighten things out and give them the support that they need down there. And we're just so proud of them for stepping up and assisting.
100 Hydro One power line workers were already in Georgia helping with recovery efforts after Helene. They moved onwards to Florida after Milton, along with 50 forestry workers who were helping clear power lines and get the lights back on. Hydro One says residents have been understanding of the fact that power restoration takes time.
Canada's former public safety minister was questioned today about delays in approving a CSIS warrant that may have included references to people in his own government.
There is a certain amount of due diligence that would take place between the agency, CSIS, the Deputy Minister at Public Safety, and the Minister's office. But my involvement in these is when that work is completed and it's brought to my attention that they would like me to go to a secure location to review the document. My role in that application was not to provide any information or input on who or how or where or why, but rather my responsibility statutorily was to undertake my authority and to exercise my authority to approve the application going forward to a federal court judge.
The inquiry on foreign interference heard it took nearly 2 months for the spy agency's warrant application to be approved by Blair. The average turnaround time is 4 to 10 days. Today, Blair testified he didn't know about the content of the surveillance warrant until he received a briefing 54 days after the application was made. He says he then signed it that day.
In the Middle East, medics say Israeli military strikes killed at least 54 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip today. In southern Lebanon, 2 UN peacekeepers were injured by an Israeli strike near their watchtower. A joint statement from France, Italy, and Spain said such attacks were unjustifiable. The Israeli military expressed deep concern and said it was engaging Hezbollah at the time. Yesterday, a United Nations interim force in a Lebanon observation post was hit by Israeli tank fire, also injuring 2 peacekeepers.
In New Mexico, a radio tower collapsed today after being hit by a hot air balloon. The incident happened in Albuquerque during the city's annual International Balloon Fiesta. There were no reports of injuries, and the balloon with 3 people on board landed safely in a field. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating. A balloon bumped into a power line earlier this week on the festival's 3rd day. It left nearly 13,000 customers without power for almost an hour.
A Japanese organization has been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for its activism against nuclear weapons. That was the moment the group Nihon Hidankyu found out it won today. The organization is a grassroots movement of atomic bomb survivors from the U.S. attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Norwegian Nobel Committee said the award was made as the taboo against the use of nuclear weapons is under pressure. To Scotiabank Arena now, where there is a whole new look just in time for the home opener.
Phase 2 of a major renovation has been unveiled, and you'll see the difference in the concourses and club spaces. CTV's Shang Li Thong reports.
From the bright lights to the merchandise to the places to get food and drinks, Scotiabank Arena has had a facelift that'll be on display tomorrow night.
This is going to transform the fan experience when they're coming to our arena.
Standing in the updated entrance at Gate 1, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment was showing off Phase 2 of their 4-phase, multi-year, $350 million renovation.
Right now, as I say, we're John Bon Jovi. We're halfway there.
The project began last May, moving quickly to get where we are today. And starting with the concourse, CEO Nick Eaves points towards immersive LED technology tailored to the specific event.
Tomorrow night, of course, it's going to be about Toronto Maple Leafs home opener and the excitement around the team and the players.
When the puck drops tomorrow night, the Arena Bowl will look largely the same, as these changes are focused on what fans want before they get to their seats. Like the Just Walk Out store, where MLSE Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer Hamza Tarani shows us how you can quickly grab food and drink.
The idea is if you want a beer, you come in, you scan your credit card, you grab a beer inside the Just Walk Out store, and in 30 seconds you're out and back to your seat.
Similar technology is being used in real sports apparel, so when fans want a jersey, a hat, or even some game-used equipment, items are automatically calculated inside this bin.
So it doesn't matter if you have 1 item or 30 items, it calculates everything at the same speed.
Reducing typical checkout time from 45 seconds to 12 seconds. Beyond apparel, MLSE is catering to fans who prefer a more luxurious experience at the game.
And one of the newest features is the MNP Pass Social Club, where people can not only get a meal before and during the game, they can also see this hallway where the players will pass by in full view on their way to the ice.
And while it has a great feel, it's only available to 200 or so ticket holders at a time. 2 levels up, the iconic Hot Stove Club, dating back to Maple Leaf Gardens, has also gotten a facelift.
Right now, any ticketed fan can come in here for a Raptor game, a Leaf game, or any live concert. Any fan can come in.
How do you get a table?
You make a reservation online.
There'll be construction throughout the season, with the entire concourse not being finished until April, with the hope that it'll be ready in time for playoffs. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
And as excitement builds for puck drop on the home opener tomorrow, we catch up with Leafs legend Daryl Sittler. My conversation with the Hall of Famer about his expectations for the team and tomorrow's matchup against the Penguins.
Also ahead, a dazzling display. Nature put on a show in Ontario overnight. Snapshots of the spectacle here at home and overseas as the northern lights shine bright.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up, it's Feedback Friday. Viewers had lots to say about roofing scams and a senior who was charged $27,000 and a condo that is only 7 years old that could need millions in repairs, and criminals stealing identities to take out fraudulent loans. Feedback Friday is just ahead.
And the warm weather we had to round out the work and school week isn't going anywhere. So if you're heading out for a walk this evening, temperature-wise, it's not that bad. And a great forecast for those commuting to go see family for the long weekend. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
We had a lot of reaction to our recent consumer stories involving roofing scams, condo repairs, and engine warranties.
Many viewers were also surprised about how easy it is for scammers to steal your identity and take out fraudulent loans in your name. Here's Pat Foran with Feedback Friday. Pat.
Thanks, Natalie and Michelle. A Toronto man was shocked he had loans that he didn't know about. We heard from other viewers who also say they had loans and credit cards taken out in their names that they had nothing to do with.
Edward Mendonca panicked when he got a letter from a finance company saying he was late on 2 loan payments. He was told he took out loans for more than $18,000. His identity had been stolen and he knew nothing about them.
I feel devastated.
Vince wrote that's why these loans need to be done in person. Too many lenders allow online applications, making it easier to commit fraud. The owners of a condominium were surprised to be told their parking garage has water leaks that may need costly repairs. The building is only 7 years old, which is why owners were shocked to be told the work may require a $7 million loan or a special assessment of $70,000 each for about 100 unit holders.
No one has $70,000 lying around.
The condo board said while repairs are still required, they delayed a vote on the matter. Judah said a 7-year-old building should not need $7 million in repairs. Sounds like an issue with the builder. The owners should not be out of pocket. Christian Matzoros bought a Hyundai Elantra 2 years ago. The car's engine failed at 46,000 kilometers. The cost to repair it is about $10,000. And even though the car is under warranty, coverage was denied because it was determined the engine had been over-revved. It had been taken to the racetrack.
The car has been to the track, but that is not when this motor incident occurred.
Racing can not just affect your warranty, but also your insurance. The Insurance Bureau of Canada told us if the vehicle is used at a racetrack, a common exclusion under an auto policy is covering any damage caused by a race or speed test. Patrice Stevens-Bourgeot says 2 men who came to her door this summer said the roof on the side of her house was rotten and could collapse. They convinced her to give them $27,000.
They're ruthless. They don't care.
But after they finish the job, the roof has leaks. Patrice suffers from stiff person syndrome and could have used that money for treatments.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
That is the best update. Thank you, Pat. And also, did you happen to catch nature's light show last night? A strong geomagnetic storm allowed for these beautiful moments. The northern lights were on display across the region, much more visible away from the city lights. These images from our colleagues at Dave Siliker snapped these vibrant shots over Lake Scugog last night, and Farah Chandani captured the beautiful colors from Bowmanville. She made it a family event, taking in the spectacle with her parents. And look, their pup, Ollie. Apparently, Ollie loved it. And the Aurora spectacle, by the way, has been drawing crowds overseas as well, in parts of Germany, the United Kingdom. Look at these gorgeous time-lapse images in Iceland. The sun's magnetic field is at the peak of its 11-year cycle, known as a solar maximum, which allows for more frequent northern lights.
Well, there you go. I have a feeling that all of the people who are heading up north this weekend, maybe to close up the cottage, will have their eyes on the sky.
I think it'd be worth having a look, right? If you're away from the city lights.
And it's a clear evening, so it makes it so much easier. I mean, I live downtown, so I saw the glow of the CN Tower, but it was really pretty. And you didn't have to get that far out of the court to be able to see it. And it's a fantastic end to what has been a really beautiful day and a beautiful start to the long weekend before a little bit of messy weather rolls in. But it has been one of those days you wanted to spend some time outside. And if you were getting out to kick off your long weekend early, you definitely had the opportunity. A shot of a maze that we had from a little bit earlier, not too far from us here in the city. And it's a day, if you want to get lost in a maze, the forecast was fantastic. It's pumpkin patch season, y'all, and it is going to stay really nice if you want to get out and do all those fall type of activities into the day tomorrow. Now, it's not a wash of a weekend, but Saturday, if you have outdoor plans, probably the best day. Temperature-wise, we're sitting at 21 here in the city, a great kind of end to our day. And if you're driving this evening, I can't promise that the traffic will be great, but at least the forecast will be agreeable. Northern Ontario, a little cooler, but overall, we're holding on quite nicely to round out our Friday. Tonight, we're staying warm. We're holding on to that southwesterly wind through to about midnight, and then things change. But we'll sit at 10 degrees, and we're holding at a pretty steady point as we head throughout at least the first part of our night. Warmer to that southwestern corner, a little cooler the further east you go. Now, into the day tomorrow. It's a busy one for a lot of people. We're looking at 15 for the high, a more northwesterly wind, a little breezy at times. So if you're outside, a layer, probably a good idea, but we're staying dry as we kind of kick off the beginning of the long weekend. We are, though, keeping an eye on a system that will come up from south of the border, set to bring a little messy weather and some cooler weather, but you'll hopefully have leftovers that you can just warm up and just keep yourself nice and cozy. As we head throughout the rest of our evening, really beautiful out there, quite clear as we wrap up our Friday. Stepping into the start of the weekend, lots of sunshine out there. So again, if you have outdoor plans and you want the warmest weather of the weekend, tomorrow's probably your best bet. Still holding on to a northerly flow into the evening. Now, Saturday night, pretty cloudy, but overall we're staying dry unless you're kind of in that stretch from Windsor through London, Hamilton, and Niagara. We could see some passing showers overnight, and then as we kick off our Sunday, it's relatively calm to get things started, but it will be cool. As we head into our Sunday afternoon, again, it stays really beautiful. It's as we head into the evening that we see some showers start to roll in, and that carries us into our Monday as well. So it is not a wash of a weekend, but the better day to be outside is definitely Saturday. Very seasonal as we kick things off, and then we start to see a bit of a gradual cool down. We'll step into Sunday, 11 for the high, 4 for the low. Again, it's not terrible to get the day started. It just ends a little soggy, and then that carries us into our Monday. That daytime high, though, is just 9 degrees, so it's sweater weather, soup season, all the things. As we head in towards Tuesday, pretty similar, but the good news is we start to dry up a little bit. And then as we tiptoe in towards next week, it gets sunnier, it gets warmer. So even if you may be delaying your Thanksgiving weekend to doing it the next weekend, regardless, it'll be fantastic weather-wise into the end of next week. Natalie, I'll send things back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jess. Still ahead on CTV News, it's turkey time for many this Thanksgiving weekend, but just how long can you enjoy the leftovers? Food safety tips for your festive feast when we come back. If you've got a festive feast planned for this Thanksgiving weekend, you may already be looking forward to the leftovers.
That's for sure. But just how long will they safely last after the kitchen's cleaned up and the Tupperware are tucked away? Our health reporter Pauline Chan has these food safety tips.
While a big turkey is often the star of the meal, it can be tricky to prepare, and Toronto Public Health says you should be extra careful when washing the bird before cooking.
We definitely are concerned with handling raw meat. as it can be a source of contamination or cross-contamination for harmful bacteria.
Raw turkey is known to harbor salmonella, campylobacter, and more.
We could see a lot of cross-contamination of other surfaces like taps and faucets, which people regularly use to wash their hands. But it could also spread bacteria through the sprays to other surfaces such as countertops, cutting boards, and maybe other sources of food that aren't necessarily designed to go into the oven.
Speaking of ovens, the public health website has a list of proper internal temperatures for different foods, 82 degrees Celsius or 180 degrees Fahrenheit for a whole turkey. Health experts recommend using different chopping boards for different foods, such as one for meat, one for veggies.
Really making sure that we separate raw products, so that's raw meats, fish, and vegetables from ready-to-eat products. So once we handle raw meats or raw fruits and vegetables on cutting boards, we want to make sure, whether it's wood or plastic, that they get thoroughly cleaned and sanitized prior to being used for anything that's ready to eat.
That means washing with soap and hot water. And vegetables can also carry bacteria.
We have to remember, a lot of our vegetables they're grown in the dirt, where there's a lot of the bacteria lives in its natural environment. So we want to make sure that things like potatoes and that they're cleaned, they're washed, they're possibly peeled, but also things like leafy vegetables, making sure that we separate those well.
And after the feast, what to do with the leftover turkey?
There's not a lot of preservatives when we're making homemade meals, so they're not designed to be stored in the fridge for a long period of time. A couple days after is definitely good to use.
But after that, you can either freeze it or throw it out. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Today is National Coming Out Day, the day recognized by members of the 2S LGBTQ+ community as both a celebration and a reminder of past and present struggles. In recognition of the day, Craig's Cookies created an extra-large jumbo pride cookie with all profits being donated to the youth-focused charity Friends of Ruby.
35 to 40% of youth that are homeless in Canada are self-identified as 2S LGBTQ+. And it was an urgent need to create something that really addresses those unique barriers and issues that 2S LGBTQ+ youth are facing and struggling on a daily basis.
The extra-large Pride cookies are only available today, and you can find out more about the partnering organization at friendsofruby.ca.
There could be a new #1 movie at the weekend box office.
I think a lot of people would really like to hear from you after all this time.
Deadline reports slasher film Terrifier 3 brought in $2.6 million US in Thursday previews. That could be enough for it to win the top spot with just $11 million in ticket sales as it faces off against Joker Folie à Deux. The comic book sequel ended its first week with just $44.6 million at the box office.
I know I turn everything into a joke, but I care.
Meanwhile, Marvel's Deadpool and Wolverine keeps on breaking movie records. It's already the highest-grossing R-rated film of all time, and it has now claimed the highest-selling first week ever for a film of that rating on U.S. digital platforms.
After the break, the flag is raised, expectations are high, and excitement abounds in Leafs land. We check in with team legend Daryl Sittler for his take on the boys and their campaign for the Cup this year.
It's a good thing it wasn't in the summertime where we got grandkids. It could have been in the pool. So stuff like that kind of makes you worried a little bit.
Updating our top stories, a pedestrian was badly injured and a Whitby family has been left shaken after a dramatic crash this afternoon. Police say a pickup truck went off the road and hit the pedestrian before going through that fence and ending up in a pool. The incident is under investigation.
This helicopter will provide that amazing support to help the ground forces.
The province and Toronto police are preparing for the deployment of a new helicopter to be part of a joint air support unit. Police Chief Myron Demkew said he expects the chopper will help in cases ranging from high-speed pursuits and dramatic gun calls to finding missing vulnerable persons. The helicopter's arrival is still at least a year away.
Right now, as I say, we're John Bon Jovi. We're halfway there.
And ahead of the Leafs home opener, we got to look at some of the changes being made at Scotiabank Arena as part of a 4-phase, multi-year, $350 million renovation. So far, many of the updates are to the fan experience before they get to their seats, including amenities like new retail and dining options.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Mayor Olivia Chow raised the Maple Leafs flag at City Hall this morning in advance of the team's home opener tomorrow.
We raised the flag. We also raise our hope. Once again, we celebrate not just the start of another Leafs campaign, but the shared spirit of grit and determination.
The mayor was joined at the flag raising by team mascot Carlton the Bear and Maple Leafs alumnus Wendell Clark.
The start of the season is not playoffs, but even for everybody, even the veterans with the new coaching staff and stuff, it's exciting for the guys to get back at it. We as players, we never like training camp. We just want to get going with the real stuff, so this is great.
Let's get going. The Leafs take on the Pittsburgh Penguins in their home opener tomorrow night. And as anticipation builds for the big game Saturday night in the city, we're joined by Leafs legend Daryl Sittler. Daryl, thank you for joining us. I was thinking, who better to chat about the Leafs than someone whose number 27 is up there in the rafters? How are you feeling about this season?
Well, thanks, Michelle. I feel good. I mean, we made some changes. I think we got a little bit more toughness on defense, a little bit more experience. Obviously, it's been disappointing for all of us the last couple of years, but we know that. We've got a new coach with a little different mentality. I think he's getting the guys in shape. Unfortunately, we lost that first game in Montreal. It was one of those nights the puck didn't have eyes, couldn't get into the net. But then the next night, like last night in New Jersey, we scored 2 in the first 6 shots. So you never know. We got a good team. We've always had a good team, a good nucleus, and we just got to get ready. It's a long season, stay healthy, and then get some great goaltending when you have to in the playoffs. So I'm excited about it, as I'm sure most Leaf fans are.
The fans are always. Hope springs eternal. So, yeah, we've got those 2 games in the bag now to give us a sample of what could be to come in the regular season. What are your big takeaways? What have you noticed with this team?
Well, last night the scoring came from the kind of the 3rd and 4th line guys. Most nights it's from Mitch and Nylander and obviously Austin Matthews, who's always had a great season. So if you have a little bit more depth and you play 4 lines, I think over the course of the season that gives you a little bit more strength and stability as a team. But we're in a tough division. I mean, it's not like Ottawa and Buffalo who are behind us. Detroit, they're fighting to make the playoff spot. So we can't take anything for granted. We just take one day at a time, one game at a time, and try to make ourselves better. And that's what the coaches do.
Hockey Hall of Famer Daryl Sittler, any predictions for tomorrow night against Pittsburgh?
Well, it's always fun. Sidney Crosby's been one of my favorite players to watch, and he's done so much for Canada. We saw when they won the gold medal there, and he's coming into town. He's always, like I say, fun to watch. Pittsburgh's had their success, and home opener is always exciting. A new lineup, a new team. Scotiabank Arena will be lit up. Obviously, Maple Leaf Square out front. There'll be a whole pile of fans in there cheering us on, and I know they've done a number of renovations within the building to make it more fan-friendly, so I'm excited to see that. I haven't been down there this year yet, but I'm sure the fans are excited to see it too. So it's all fun and games. It's the first one at home, and hopefully we have lots of success.
Hopefully you got us excited. Mr. Sittler, thank you so much for your time today. Have a great Thanksgiving long weekend.
Yeah, Thanksgiving to everybody out there too. Happy Thanksgiving.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar was down to 72.67 U.S. cents. Oil was down to $74.85. And the TSX Composite was up more than 168 points to 24,471.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Still to come on CTV News, Coldplay doubles down on its Canadian concerts. The new Toronto tour dates when we come back.
Tonight, Aurora Borealis dazzles Canada again.
It was way better than I anticipated that it would be.
How a rare display of dancing northern lights stretched across southern parts of the country. Later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special shout out to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Coldplay is going to double the fun for fans here in Toronto. The British rock band is adding 2 more show dates on July 11th and 12th at Rogers Stadium. This is in addition to the July 7th and 8th shows announced earlier this week. Tickets for all 4 shows are now sold out. The shows are Coldplay's only Canadian dates on the Music of the Spheres World Tour.
Wow, the summer is really shaping up to be a lot of fun in the city, but right now we are firmly in fall. This is a quintessential weekend. Take us home, Jess.
It felt like summer today. It was so beautiful out there, and as we step into the start of the long weekend, lots of sunshine, very seasonal, and then it gets a little cold and rainy. But we're going to focus on the positive, and that's the rest of our day today. Beautiful this evening, and it carries into the rest of the night. We're sitting at 21 right now, 24 still in Windsor, 16 out in Ottawa, and if you're heading out to visit family, it'll be great. Tomorrow, if you're picking pumpkins, it'll be great, but you might need a sweater with a gusty northwesterly wind. A little rain on Sunday and Monday. It's not so bad, but I'm going to focus on the positive, and that is Saturday's forecast.
Looking great. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jess Smith and the whole team here at CTV News, thank you for watching and happy Thanksgiving long weekend.